everybody, Mr. Gallagher again. Me and my collections. I think those are just interesting videos to show. I don't have any pets to show you. My two children, boys, are both grown up and live in other cities. Could show you the house, but I think my collections are kind of interesting. I have another collection. It's another quilt collection today. It's from my friend, an artist named Cathy McNeil. She used to be an emergency room nurse. That means she used to take care of people who came into the hospital at the last minute because of a problem, very often because of an injury or a very bad illness. You go to the emergency room or urgent care when things are very bad and you didn't expect. It's different from going into the hospital for an operation that you know about. Emergency room nurses are really important. They take care of people, as she used to say, on the worst day they're having. I love Cathy McNeil and her husband Bruce. They're both artists. Bruce is a wood artist, so he makes beautiful furniture and carvings and designs and walls and doors, like amazing. And Cathy is a quilting artist. I met her when I went to see a collection of her quilts, her very first art collection. She uses quilting as kind of therapy. When she comes home from really difficult days in the emergency room, she would quilt. Her quilts became art because her quilts are not design quilts, but they are picture quilts, which I've never heard of until I met her. Let me introduce you to Cathy and some of the quilts we have. This way. This is a picture of Cathy. She's in the middle. Her husband Bruce is on the side, and my friend is on the other side, Rebecca. It was at a costume party, so that's why they're dressed extra special. Now, Cathy is someone whose quilts are rather astounding. This is a quilt. Now, if you look at it from a little bit far away like I am, it looks like it could be a painting. But it's called The Gift. And actually, this is a commissioned quilt. After seeing her collection in a museum, her first exhibit ever, I wrote her a note. I didn't know her, but I told her how beautiful I thought her quilts were and how moved I was. I looked at her quilts and my heart and brain and were full of emotions. I was really overcome, actually, by the beauty in her quilts. I had to tell her how I felt and how impressed I was with her quilts. I sent her a letter, and she sent me a nice note back thanking me for appreciating her quilts and taking the time to write to her. She told us that she had another exhibit coming in a smaller spot, and would we like to come and see it? We thought, yes. At that quilt exhibit, we actually met her face to face. And we began to have a conversation about asking if she would ever take a commission, which means you ask someone to do art for you, specifically just for you. And we said we'd like a commissioned quilt if she would be willing. She had never done a commissioned quilt. But we said, we don't have any ideas in mind. We would just love to have one different from the one she had up in her exhibit. After some thinking, she said yes. She interviewed us. We went to her house for dinner and talked to her. And then she just made a quilt, and several months later, this was in our mailbox. It's called The Gift. Now I'm going to move in close. Cathy does beautiful things that are extras and treats. She asked us about books we liked, and so she included books over here, including this book called ASL, because I know sign language. She included pictures of Norbert's grandparents that she transferred to fabric. And there's Norbert's family inside the picture of the trunk. She said she was suddenly struck by including a bird. She said things just happen to her when she's quilting. She doesn't know how or why, but She made a bird and she had to include it. We like this because it also doesn't show the person's face except in the mirror. And it's not meant to be anyone in particular, she said. But it's the gift. And it's someone looking through a trunk full of memories in their attic, and also including themselves by looking in the mirror. And each part of this is made of quilts. If you look closely, these are all fabric pieces. And she also talked to us about how it takes careful deciding and layout and practice to put a piece of fabric down and then look at it and step away and think, is that a good match, or should I try something else? And so she said there's lots of design pieces in here, like right here. The fabric colors change a little bit to show light coming through the skylight up at the top right there. Something extra she did, she put some writing at the bottom over here. And then this we both like a lot, and so does everyone else. Those are real jeans. Those are her husband's jeans that he no longer wore. And she made them be part of the quilt with a real pocket. And in the pocket, she even included a pretty piece of metal art as a surprise to us. Cathy is great. We love Cathy and we love her quilts. They're so interesting. The gift. When you look at that, what do you see? Now I'll show you over here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. But, well, then we have this quilt by Cathy. I love this one too. It's called The Golden Child. I'll tell you about that one, I think, on another day. Then there's this quilt picture, which is very emotional, although all of her quilts are emotional. This one's called Lost Hope. It's about the environment. Lost Hope. It's different from this one, The Golden Child. It's about the happiness felt when a baby is born. This isn't a quilt, but it is part of our collection. It's an embroidery quilt made by friends of mine. And then there's this quilt, which is called A Walk in the Woods. We love this one too. We love all of our quilts from Cathy. She's told us that we are the people who have the most Cathy McNeil quilts. So we are collectors of her quilts, and we have the most quilts together in one house. We're proud of that. Sometimes when she has quilts that are exhibited around the country, she comes and takes the quilts away for a couple of months, and then the quilts go to an exhibit. This quilt was in the National Quilting Museum in Paducah, Kentucky for several months. For several months we did not have this quilt in our house because it was in a museum, and other people, lots of people, were coming to see her exhibits and see her quilts. And we know lots of people saw this quilt. It's a beauty. Cathy McNeil stopped working in the emergency rooms, and now she's an internationally known quilting artist. That means people know her who live all around the world. She teaches classes. She goes to museums. Her quilts are in museums. She goes on quilting cruises where quilting people come on a cruise ship and take quilting classes from Cathy while they are taking their cruise to different places to go and visit. Cathy is well known, well loved, and well regarded in the quilting world. And she's well known, well regarded, and well loved in our quilting home. the 4 Cathy McNeil quilts we have are treasures to us. She even did that painting right over there. That's a special piece she gave me as a surprise for my birthday. Cathy McNeil, the well-known quilting artist, and now you know her. Thanks for watching, everybody.